What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it for another video. We're on the third act here for the Modern Warfare Zombies guide. We're finishing it up. We're getting to the final finish line, and there's still more than a few grindy missions that we'll have to get through, but at least in this act, we are going to find a lot of payoff for all of the grind that we've done to make it to this point, including the Wonder Waffles schematics in order to be able to craft that every 48 hours, sadly. And I wish it was a bit of a shorter time frame. It is a bit ridiculous at how often we can actually spawn that in, but I have no understanding why they're going to do it that way, because I honestly say I'd rather have it every single day, at least once a day. You know, if I'm somebody that's just jumping in doing dailies all the time and I just want to have some fun, I mean, you know, I already grinded all the way to Act 3. But anyways, you know, that's me complaining. We don't need any of that. We need to get into giving you those tips and tricks on how to get these contracts done as efficiently as possible, and we're going straight in for it. Now, the first thing that we've got is two-factor authentication. Now, one thing to be said about this contract is it's not the hardest. You know, you're just going to have to do the defend ground station, the seismic activity one, kill 20 mercenaries in this, and maintain the computer's health above 60%. Now, I don't know what exactly happened, but as of today, you know, post-patch of November 18th, it seems as though those AI bots are a little bit more aggressive towards the ground station computer, so be right next to that and make sure it doesn't go below 60. I was helping out a friend get this contract done, and yeah, it took us about 3 tries for whatever reason, but luckily enough, any of the teammates with you that are killing mercenaries is going to count towards that overall 20, so don't even worry about having to get the 20 yourself. As a collective, you're going to be able to get that done pretty quickly. Number one thing is that we are going to get a flawless Ethereum crystal from this. This is a crystal that automatically pack-a-punches a weapon to level 3. We're going to want to save this for a later use in one of the contracts we have going forward. It's just going to make your life overall so much easier, and you want to just make sure that you have it for later, because it is going to come in handy, and it's just going to save you a whole lot of time. But going forward, we've got the Firestarter. Now, this one, we're going to have to use the Napalm Burst ammo mod. The best way to get this one done, just do a bunch of escort missions. Promise you, you're going to ignite 50 zombies. You're going to have special zombies coming in at the same time. It's easily going to be one of the... it's not the easiest one out of the missions we have here, but you're not going to have any problem with this one. It's just going to be a bit of that grind and just hitting escort missions back to back to back. You could arguably try doing tier 2 of the... Outlast and or weapon safe contracts. That could be another option, but generally I'd say the escort missions are going to be your best in slot for getting this done as efficiently as possible. Up next is a little bit of a steep grind, in my opinion. I was not a big fan of this one. Ghosted. Now, Ether Shroud is a field upgrade where you'll go invisible, but for only 5 seconds. Let's really think about that. And for 2 of those 5 seconds, it felt like to me, it may only be like 1 second, you'll have the tool that you use to hit Ether Shroud and become invisible to only zombies, because the mercenaries will still be able to see you. Now, getting the 100 kills with the Ether Shroud is not the hardest. I'd say get like a pack 1 weapon or a pack 2 weapon and just hit some of those weapon stashes in tier 1, you'll be able to just get a crowd of them and be able to just mulch them pretty quickly. Sadly enough, the extractions being nerfed after this recent patch actually kind of makes the 100 a little bit more difficult, because I was generally able to get like 25 at a time from each one of the Ether Shroud moments. But one good thing to note about this is, you know, whether it be killing the mercenaries or killing the zombies, if you use the black hole grenade, that one's going to be your best in slot to really suck in a lot of these zombies or a lot of these mercenaries all at one time. I'd say arguably save it for the mercenaries, because those mercenaries aren't grouped up all that well, and with only having 5 seconds to take down some of these mercenaries, you're generally more than likely at most going to be able to kill 4 at a time per use of this, and then you're going to have to go and kill a bunch of zombies just to get that field upgrade back up again. But if you're having trouble getting the kill 20 mercenaries, similar to what I stated in Act 1 or Act 2 guide, I can't remember specifically, you're going to want to find a location that is effectively a mercenary camp or a stronghold that's near a location where there's a plethora of zombies. Arguably, Lowtown would be a great location where you could constantly feed zombies Because the one thing that you would want to do is, if you're doing this solo especially, coming in and then find a merc camp or a stronghold, either start the stronghold up or go in and just pop the ether shroud in a merc camp, kill the ones that you can during that time frame, and then run away. Save the rest for later. That way you can run away, kill the zombies, and then still have your pool of mercenaries instead of having to keep driving around hitting different locations and just constantly just have moments where you're just wasting time by driving all around the map to go from like mercenary camp to mercenary camp, or trying to do the contracts themselves. I think the easiest way that I got this done was actually doing it either at a merc camp or a stronghold. Strongholds were a little bit easier, as you could kind of just have them kind of stacked up. And the best way to notice if you've got a lot of them grouped up in the next room that you're going, or the next floor, death's perception, or death's, I think it's death's perception. That perk is actually going to give you the capability of seeing their outline through the walls and seeing where they're moving or where they're at and where they're clustered at. That can be really beneficial for stronghold moments where you can just know exactly where they are, run into the room, pop that ability, and get at least 3 or 4 of them, hopefully. It's going to be a little bit of a grind, and you're going to have to keep running out to just kill those zombies and get it recharged. But if you do have those black hole grenades, they can be really useful for clearing quite a few of them in one use of that ether shroud. And I will say, throw the black hole grenade before you pop the ether shroud, so that way, in that moment where they're getting sucked in before they die by being fully pulled in, you pop it right as they're all getting pulled in, so that way you're not missing the opportunity of those kills if they're far enough away from that black hole grenade before they get fully sucked in and killed. But that's about the easiest way you're going to get that one done, sadly enough. It's grindy. I hated it. And, hopefully it goes pretty smoothly for you. I'll be honest. Now, up next, we've got a little bit more of a grindy one, but not as grindy. We've got to hit 10 mercenaries with the Tesla Storm field upgrade. This one's a bit easier, and I will say it's probably a bit easier to use this at a stronghold. Now, one of the number one things about the strongholds is, there's initially mercenaries within the stronghold that they'll be there, and then you can save the moment when they're going to be flying in. Like that safe, you don't have to start that drill immediately. You can save that for later. Now, you may be saying to yourself, oh, I'm worried if somebody else rolls up and starts the drill safe. Generally not going to happen. Most people aren't hitting the strongholds. It's not very efficient. Most people generally only hit it just to get like a level or a 3-plate vest for the most part, or for one of their contracts. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to be fine. So as soon as you run in, if you didn't, well, more than likely you're not going to get all 10 the first use of this field upgrade. But the few that you do hit, you'll more than likely be able to get 5, as you'll just need to pop it and then run close to these guys. You'll just need to bum rush in there and then find an exit and just jump out, kill the rest of them, and then save the safe. Then run off, get the zombies killed, get the field upgrade back up, and then head back and then start drilling the safe, and then wait for those resupply of mercenaries to come in and then hit those guys. Best way to get it done, beyond that, merc camps are probably going to be just as easy. They're just going to be out in the open. You can just run between each one of them and killing them at the same time, right after they get stunned. You'll notice it very quickly when they do get stunned. This is actually a really good field upgrade for facing off with the AI bots, in my opinion, or specifically against strongholds that are just closed in buildings. It just makes it so much easier for you to just stun them and finish them off without much of a worry of that, aim bot just putting you down really quickly. But beyond that, using the field upgrade during, weapon stash or an escort mission or an outlast mission is going to be the best way to get the 50 zombies killed. That'll be the easy part of this one. Getting the 10 mercenaries is just a little bit of time suck. It's, I just wish most of these contracts didn't have mercenaries to be hit or killed. Just throw them all out. They would have made this so much easier of a grind. But going forward, like I was saying with the 2-factor authentication with the Pack 3 crystal, this is where we're going to want to use it most firepower. We need to pack a punch a weapon to level 3. We need to kill 100 zombies with a level 3 pack a punch. And then we need to kill a mega bomb with a level 3 pack a punch. Now, for whatever reason, it looks like it means mega abomination, and I'm assuming that's what it means. I already had this checkmarked without having to kill a mega abomination. Now, I still did it anyway. I'll showcase the gameplay footage as I'm speaking through this one. But for whatever reason, before I'd even killed the 100 zombies, I had already gotten the Pack-a-Punch weapon to, or the Pack-a-Punch level 3 to my weapon, that check marked, and before I'd even finished the 100 kills, somehow I'd already got the Mega Abomination killed with the Pack-a-Punch weapon. I hadn't even gotten close to the tier 3 zone before this happened, and somehow it just already got completed. I don't know whether or not it's one of the few that's retroactive, like you killed it before and that's the way it got done, but somehow that worked out. But I do know that you can get it done solo with just a pack 3 weapon. And basically you're going to have to be looping this guy. You know, there's one location that I'll say is the safest bet to kill one of these Mega Abominations. We'll pop up the map real quick. That's the wrong thing. Now we've got the map open. Now the one location, if you don't know about this map, this is Warzone TAC map. I've stated this in my previous 2 videos, but if you haven't seen it yourself, I'll have a link to it down in the description below. You know, you've got the location of free perks, exfils, you know, every doghouse location, portal entrances for the runes, audio logs for a little bit of that, you know, additional storyline, hidden caches where you can just loot, things like that. You know, it's pretty nifty little map. But the one location I know where there is a Mega Abomination every single time, and it's going to be the easiest and safest route, especially if you're solo trying to get this done, is to come over to this bridge over here in the Zaravan city. There's always going to be a Mega Abomination right here, just chilling, walking around, and you can stand on the other side and just start shooting it. You can get a fair amount of damage in with that Pack 3 weapon from this distance, but it will come down that bridge at some point, so be aware of this. I was able to just loop it around in these 2 buildings. I mean, I'll have the gameplay footage showcasing how I'm just kind of like walking around, just going in between these buildings, kind of just moving around him and making sure that I've got cover in front of me whenever he's shooting his lasers. It wasn't too hard. It's just a bit of a bullet sponge, in my opinion. You know, there may be faster killing weapons than the one I chose. You know, I'd have to look that one up. I'd have to test that one a little bit more. But for me, I believe I was either using the longbow or I was using the bone rattle. The one blueprint that we got in Act 1 for the LMG. And I can guarantee that both of them do work. But the longbow, in my opinion, has a little bit more damage and a bit more devastating. But it's still just a bullet sponge moment. But heading back to the contracts, that's how you're going to be able to get that one done fairly easily. As long as you've got that Pack 3 crystal, you know, you should be smooth sailing and be able to get that one done solo very, very easily. Now, if you're solo without that Pack 3 crystal, your best bet's just going to be doing cargo delivery missions over and over until you've got enough. You know, hopefully you've got a Pack 2 crystal from doing all those missions. You got it from the little portal at the end of one of those. That way you only need 15,000 to just run in, hit that Pack 3, and then run out, get your kills, and then be able to kill the Mega Abomination. But if you've got friends or you've got randoms with you, it's generally always going to be easier. I say that with randoms, and then it can go pear-shaped pretty quickly. But thankfully, with all my experience with randoms so far, I've had a majority of good experiences over bad. A whole lot less useful, or a whole lot less useless compared to useful. Now, up next, we've got Paint the Target. This one, oh man, I feel bad for a lot of people. I'll tell you right now, I was able to dupe the precision aircrafts for this one. Precision airstrikes. This one took me about 6 precision airstrikes to get everything done correctly. And I think the number one issue was getting 20 mercenary kills. Hitting a merc camp, not hard. Hitting a mercenary convoy, not hard. Killing 20 of them with the airstrikes. You'd think it would mulch them, but it's always a random direction at where those warthogs are just going to decide they're going to spray down their rounds. I'm going to guarantee your best bet with getting this one done is to be with other people, but if you're doing it solo, you're going to want to effectively just keep stacking up 5,000 at a time, because each precision airstrike is going to cost you 5,000 at a time. I'd say come in with a Pack 2 crystal if you're solo, and then just keep doing the cargo missions or keep doing bounty missions. If you've got a Pack 2 weapon, you'll be melting tier 2 bounty, big game bounties. It'll be no problem for you. You'll be able to just quickly get that cash up within the first 15 minutes and be able to at least have 4 of these airstrikes ready to go. But if you've got buddies, or if you don't have any, go in with randoms, talk with them. You may be able to get each one of them to have a precision airstrike. The reason I say having friends with you is each one of them is going to get that money. So if you each have 5,000 at the very beginning, you could easily get that within 2 contracts at the very beginning of the game, less than 10 minutes. That way you could have 3 of those airstrikes ready to go. And then by the time you start hitting each one of these, maybe a couple more contracts, and you could have another 3 of those precision airstrikes. Generally, if you talk with randoms, they might have a contract themselves that they're doing. Help them with theirs, they'll help you with theirs. Or with yours, my goodness. Getting mixed up on that one. But that one, yeah, paint the target's really irritating. Even while I was duping the precision airstrike, it was extremely frustrating. But now that's been patched out, so your best bet is generally, you're either going to have to come in with that pack 2 and just hit a ton of bounties really quickly, that pack 2 crystal, or you and 2 other buddies, you can make it real quick in that way with just stacking together each of your cash and then being able to help them with their contracts as well. But up next, we've got Crash and Burn. Now, this one, the helicopters, maybe you don't want to do ether extractor, which can be dangerous, where, constantly there's birds coming down. That one may be a little bit easier. At the same time, though, if you go out to the Hadika farms over on the eastern side of the map, generally it's open land. So you could, at a distance, hit these birds with you by yourself or with 2 other players. Now, if you don't, or if you do have other players, you can do the cargo delivery missions. Those helicopters will count. But if you're doing it solo, I'd probably say ether extractor is going to be your best bet. Just start landing those shots from a distance. Avoid going to the missiles themselves. You don't even need to finish the contract itself. You just want to make sure that you're taking down those birds. And one weapon that I know can get each one of these helicopters down in 1 magazine is going to be that bone rattle. As long as you have the 100-round mag inside of it, and if you have that pack-a-punched at least level 1, easy peasy right there. If you've got one of those pack 1 crystals, 200 rounds is easily going to take out those birds every time that they fly in. And there'll be more. There may be 3 of them in those 2 minutes that you'll see during an ether extraction mission. And if not, you can just roll to another one and easily get that 3rd bird down if you're trying to do this solo. But with friends, if they've got other, or even with randoms, if they've got other contracts they need, always they're going to need more cash to either pack a punch their weapon or something else. Talk them into doing a couple of those cargo deliveries, finish off those helicopters. You'll get it done in no time and be helping other people out and having a lot more fun than trying to get it done from the ether extraction. But that's up to you. Up next, though, we've got Storm the Castle. Now, this is going to be one of those moments where it's going to force you to go in and finish off the Legacy Stronghold. What you're going to have to do in this one is go to a merc camp. You're going to have to kill everybody at that merc camp. That way you complete the merc camp. Then you're going to want to get the stronghold key from that. Go to a stronghold, completely clear that one, open up the safe, get the purple stronghold key card. And then you're going to have to head over to the Legacy Stronghold. And if you don't know where this location is, we'll pull up the map again. That is going to be in the northwestern portion of the map, up over on this hill. You notice right over here, just west of the Popov Power. I don't know why I want to call that tower, but over here, this is going to be the compound itself. Now, one thing to keep in mind, as soon as you get up to this location and you start engaging with these enemies, there will be a helicopter that comes in that fires not only machine gun rounds, but it'll also be firing rockets directly at you. So be careful at that front of that zone. You're going to have to take out that bird before you can even push in. It's just going to be way too hectic on the inside. They're going to be dropping a lot of those AI bots. It's an extremely frustrating push going into this. You can get it done solo, but I will make a strong argument to try and recruit randoms for this one if you don't have any friends to roll in with. I know it can be irritating, or if you by all, end all be all. If you come into the stream, I'm more than likely be ready to run this with you. If I'm on the Modern Warfare Zombies, just come in, ask. If I'm already playing it, then I'll more than likely be down to just run this through for you. But if you don't have anybody available, trust me, just ask randoms to get this one done. I've gotten it done probably 3 times now, and I only once had to ask somebody to get it done. The other 2 times people were just down to do it because they'd never done it. It's kind of like a raid. You got a little raid boss at the end of it, and that's what's going to be the actual warlord at the end of this one. One thing to also keep in mind as you're pushing into this compound, you'll have one building at the very back of that legacy stronghold that is the main building. There's going to be the microwave set up inside of there, a lot of defenses. There's going to be bouncing betties in there, those little mines, those trip mines that'll be inside there, and a whole lot of enemies. The best way to get it done, getting through that compound, is to have 2 people push in and then 1 person wait at the stairs in the middle of it to completely counter all of the agents or AI bots that'll be spawning in from the helicopters outside, because continuously the whole time there's going to be 4 enemies constantly spawning in before you finish off that warlord. So make sure you got 1 person that basically just is watching the entrances coming into that, and you can just stay at the top of the staircase. I'll have the gameplay footage showcased on screen, and I've honestly never even seen the other side or the inside of the actual compound. I've always just held the door because I just didn't trust other people, and both of those other 2 people that were pushing in to go after the warlord probably went down about 3 or 4 times, both of them. So it was a bit easier for me to just hold the doorway and make sure that we just all 3 survive instead of just getting put down and having to restart that whole thing, or go into chat and plead for help. It works most of the time, but it can eat up a lot of time waiting on somebody else in that match to come and save all 3 of you.
And one thing that I forgot to mention is that every one of the inflatable dummies inside of this compound, if you shoot them and try to kill them, they will actually pop off like a flashbang, so do be careful around that. Check your targets. Those inflatables could cause you to just have some unexpected injuries.
But going forward, we've got closing time. Now, I would say for the tier 4 missions, we're not doing closing time first. The first one you want to do is holdout. Now, you may ask me why. Well, for one, it's super easy, but this one will give us the capability of having the Wonder Waffle plans, so we'll be able to actually craft this to use for one of the 2 missions that we have next. So holdout's going to be super easy. It's going to be the Outlast contract. All we have to do is kill 50 zombies inside the corrupted space. It's going to be the one with the satellite dish icon, and we'll actually get a ray gun out of this. Now, that's not the ray gun schematic, but that's the ray gun consumable. Keep in mind, as soon as you pull that into a match and then you use it, you can't exfil with it. You're going to have to use it during that one match. Now, arguably, both the Wonder Waffle and this ray gun are going to help you out on either one of these 2 next missions. Now, we'll start off with closing time. Now, with closing time, I did this solo. I would never suggest doing this solo. You can get it done. It's really irritating, and one thing that I will make a strong arguments with is if you're going to do it solo, you're more than likely going to want to pack 3 weapons. You're going to need at least pack 2, at least, to even just deal damage enough to kill the storm caller that's inside of this. So you technically have this little mini boss inside of the storm. If you don't know where the ether storm is, it's the purple circle on every match that you go into. It's the thing that grows outward as soon as the 45-minute timer is up. You'll notice it has like a little purple biohazard symbol on it. It's a purple circle. As soon as you come into that, there is a disciple special infected that is called the storm caller. Yes, the one that is armored up and heals by feeding on zombies or feeding on you, and it is extremely irritating. And one thing to keep in mind is you have to kill it inside of the ether storm. You can't do it outside of the ether storm. It will sometimes come out of the ether storm, but the storm caller itself will more than likely, always go back into the ether storm. It won't spend too much time outside of the ether storm or chasing you. So you can kind of play this cat and mouse with it with closing time. Now, every zombie inside of the storm is going to be leveled up. It is going to be quite frustrating. Hopefully, your ether storm is not in the tier 2 zone. If it's in the tier 2 zone, oh man, it's going to be pretty difficult. If it's in the tier 1, It's not the worst, but it's still pretty aggravating because a tier 2 zombie that it's empowered by the disciple and by the storm itself, they're tanky boys. Oh, they're irritating. And some of them got those zoomies, you know, the ones that are just super fast and they're just in your face no matter what, biting at your ankle, just yipping. Absolute nightmare. But the Stormcaller is going to have the largest amount of health, and the fact that he can heal himself is going to make this even harder. Like, the only reason I was able to finish this guy solo was not... I didn't have a pack 3 weapon, but I was able to get instant kill to drop off of one of the zombies, and that will substantially increase your damage dealt to any one of the special infected, including boss units. So if you're solo with this one, you may end up, you know, basically farming the zombies in the Ether Storm or pulling them out of the Ether Storm and trying to hope that you're going to get the instant kill or the nuke to get a little more damage. Instant kill is probably going to be your best bet because it'll really help you to melt at certain times, but I wouldn't make a strong argument. You want to do this with other people. You can get it done solo, but it is not that much fun. Now, ways that you can make this easier. I didn't bring the Wonder Waffle in for this one because I was saving it for the spring cleaning. But you could bring in the ray gun or you could bring in the Wonder Waffle. And, you know, either one of those could probably make it a whole lot easier. I'll be real with you. But for the most part, you don't necessarily have to. But it can be beneficial. Now, you will need to pack-a-punch those weapons. Do keep in mind the Wonder Waffle and the ray gun do need pack-a-punching. They are legendary weapons straight off the bat, and they do have high damage, but you need it to have a little bit more damage, especially against something like the Stormcaller. He's still going to be a tanky boy, regardless of whether you're using the Wonder Waffle or that ray gun. He's going to basically be like a tier 3 boss, so keep that in mind. Killing the 50 zombies won't be too hard, but do keep in mind they have to be in the Ether Storm, so don't start dragging them out and then killing them, even though they will continuously spawn within the storm, so don't worry. There's always going to be a plethora of them to fight off against, and it's going to get pretty irritating after you've already got the 50 kills and you're still dealing with the Stormcaller. But right after that, we've got spring cleaning. Now, I'll tell you what the easiest infested stronghold in the high threat zone is going to be. This one is stagnant. It will always be there, and it is one that I showcased for the mimic freezes. The one that will always have 2 mimics at it. Over here in Lowtown at the northern portion of it, you'll notice right here on the edge there's one little square building. This will have a zip line going to this building over here in tier 3. This is going to be a stagnant infested stronghold that will always be here, and by far, I consider it the easiest because no matter what, you can just either hit that zip line to head straight back if things are going south, you know, pear-shaped real quick, or you can just immediately book it to the water and then cross. Do keep in mind, though, as soon as you've aggroed the tier 3 zombies over here, they will be running in either direction for these bridges, so you don't want to spend too much time at that building across the river. You know, you got a moment to breathe, but do keep in mind they will be chasing you, and they will chase you for quite a while. So if you do need to just get out of Dodge really quickly, just keep running or stay in the water somewhere, or, you know, stay in the water far away from the shore so they can't throw those chunks of meat at you. But this will be one of the easier locations. It's got 2 floors to it. There is a lot of cysts inside of there. I'll showcase the gameplay footage. I only did this with one other person. I pulled in the Wonder Waffle for this. I packed it to pack 2. I would make a strong argument. You almost want it to be at pack 3. Like, it worked. It was effective, but it probably would have been way more effective if it was pack-a-punch 3. I should have, you know, stashed up the 15,000 to make sure that I had enough. You will be able to get ammo from the ammo caches to refill your Wonder Waffle, but you'll only have, I think, after packing it, 36 rounds, so keep that in mind. And one thing that you really do want to have is the Speed Cola. That perk is going to be extremely beneficial for you for this tier 3 mission. Not only is it going to give you the capability of plating faster, but it's also going to be giving you the capability of reloading faster. And with the Wonder Waffle, you really do want that reload speed increased. It can take a little bit of time putting those bulbs back in after pulling them out. Bit frustrating, and you'll notice it in the gameplay footage that I probably got showcasing on the screen right now. But you can get this one done. Doing it solo, I would say 100%. You want that Wonder Waffle and you want it at pack 3. You do not want to go into this solo without having at least also a pack 2 weapon on your hip. Something like an SMG or something with a large magazine. That way you can use that in order to destroy the cysts inside, and then you can switch over to the Wonder Waffle in order to just electrify those zombies coming in. But do keep in mind, you're going to be dealing with some special infected on top of that. There's always going to be 2 mimics over here. Self-revives, if your solo, is going to be a mandatory. I would make a strong argument with that. You know, those mimics can grab you, pull you in, and then throw you back out. And if you've got a cluster of those zombies, and there's going to be a lot of zombies with zoomies over in the tier 3 zone, they're going to be in your face really quickly. And if you've already got your shields off and low on health, you know, it's almost like an execution moment. They're just throwing you down and just feasting on that corpse. But that's going to be the easiest one to get done. You know, I went in with randoms and I had to pick them up in the tier 3 zone like 3 times. It was kind of crazy. They went down multiple times. That Wonder Waffle can be a life-saving one, but it's still not perfect. It's not going to, you know, keep you 100% safe. I had more than a few moments where I almost lost it. Luckily, I had self-revive. That's going to be how you get the spring cleaning done. That one is... It's a journey, and I did not feel like I got much out of it. I did get 1 legendary ether tool out of it, but that was pretty much all I got from that stronghold. I felt that it was pretty lacking when it came to the loot after completing that, but I was ready to just get out of Dodge, because I'm like, yep, there's the last one. We're going to the story mission. Now, moving on to the final portion of this. You've got defeat ZAKHAEV. I'll tell you right now. Pack 2 or higher. Self-revives. You could do it solo. You don't have to have pack 2 either. I went in with a small backpack, no 3-plate vest. I think I only had 1 plate or 2 plates. I think I had 2 plates because I had the worst time by the time I got to this point. And yeah, I lost everything to DCs, to some randoms being dumb and me following their stupidity. I'll agree to that. But then I literally did have 2 moments where it was like I wasted materials because for whatever reason there was a glitch that happened where I was about to go into this final mission by myself, but you know, my teammate during that time took a regular extraction, and then somehow I ended up at the first story mission, so keep that in mind. That could be problematic if you're working with other people. You know, make sure that you exfil first by yourself before they exfil, because somehow, apparently, it can pull you into the first story mission when they're not even on that story mission, or they're not even using the extraction to go to that story mission. I was running to the actual extraction for defeat ZAKHAEV, and that was just unbelievably irritating. And if you're wondering one of the 3 star locations where these story missions are, you'll just need to read what it says on top of it. It will say defeat ZAKHAEV as the first one. The first story mission is called Extraction, so that will be the name of that one. Then you have the Act 2, which was Shepherd. And then the third one, defeat ZAKHAEV. So just read what it says, because they will rotate. They won't be in the same exact locations every time. Extraction seems to be the only one that's pretty stagnant up at the northern section, just off to the right of Popov Tower. God, why do I want to say tower every time? Popov Tower. But make sure that you've got plenty of plates. Make sure you got plenty of ammo. Make sure you got monkeys. You know, monkeys can really help in this one, but for the most part, you're going to be, it's a special story mission. It's the one that I grinded all the way out through because I knew what exactly I was basically going for. I didn't care about the, you know, Wonder Waff, you know, plans. I didn't care about the skin, the bone collector. I cared more about like, what's this final mission all about? You know, do I get basically what I was looking for? And, you know, I'll let you be the judge of it. You know, let me know down in the comments below if you enjoyed this mission, if this was worth it to you. Because I'll tell you right now, by this point, I'm still on the fence about it, because I'm just kind of like, man, like the game mode itself is fun. The community I've been playing with, the randoms that I've been playing with, the fact that you can, you know, group everybody up as a 24-man team, and I really would love to get some matches going where we get everybody from the entire match into the tier 3 zone and just start mopping it. Like all 24 players up in the red zone just killing everything. I think that'd be amazing. That sounds like a fantastic video, and it just sounds like a whole lot of fun. I mean, it'd be chaos with the proximity chat, but I mean, I feel like we'd just be destroying it inside there as long as everybody had like Pack-a-Punch, even just Pack-a-Punch 2. There's 24 guns. We're just going to be melting everything. We run that town. But at the same time, the amount of grind that you had to go through in order to get to this point, the amount of hours you probably spent in, the fact that we have to do one at a time of these missions and we can't just cycle through to the next contract after we finish it in one match is just absolutely frustrating. I think it's really poor design. I mean, the campaign and the story missions on top of, you know, basically what's reskin DMC, let's be real, is pretty frustrating to say the least. But I mean, I've had a good time so far. I mean, it's, you know, besides the fact of having the nostalgia hit of 2009's Modern Warfare 2, which, you know, it's basically we just got DLC. You know, they're remakes of the maps, but they feel more like remasters, and it's, you know, it's a $70 DLC with a very terrible campaign and armory system. Don't get me started. You know, there's a lot of flaws to this, but this game mode it has some charm to it. I've enjoyed my time with it for the most part, and I'm trying to make the most out of this $70 purchase, but you know, there are times where you're just like, man, they really just wanted player retention with the armory system. They wanted the player retention with the zombies story missions. Hopefully, as they progress forward between seasons and add additional content to this, that it ends up being better. But, you know, they add better content into it. They add more, you know, special infected to face off with, or just like massive events. Like, I'd honestly love to see what they do with this next year, if they have anything special planned for like the Halloween time. I think this would be like the perfect mode to just have it at like full on dark nighttime. Like the zombies are constantly just evolving. It's getting more aggro the longer the mission goes. You know, there's just more of this spawning to the point where it's like, you know, you're looking for, you know, it's almost like one of those moments where I want it to be just absolutely overwhelming by the time the timer starts really getting close to the end time. Like, it's just like every minute you're just having another spawn of just a massive horde coming at you. Maybe they can't do that many zombies, but I think it'd be amazing to have that exfil moment again, where it's like there's a massive crowd dogpiling on you and you're just mulching through them until that bird just takes off. I'm going to miss it for the most part. I know they've diminished it from this patch. That experience was really nice, actually, and it made for a lot of comedic moments at the end of certain missions for extraction, but we'll see what they do going forward. But, you know, after my ramble, and finally we've finished out the Act 3, hopefully, you know, you got through this with little to minimal rage and, you know, not too much grind. Hopefully you didn't have too many DCs that basically ruined your operator. And, you know, if you'd like to see more of this content, you know, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to see some of this content live, hit that link down in the description. Follow me over at Twitch. We'll be streaming daily. May not always be on Modern Warfare Zombies, but we'll be back for each one of the updates to this each season, checking it out, getting the most out of it, you know. And just making further content, progressing forward, because I mean, this is pretty much the sole reason that made me pull the trigger on this, because just the nostalgia was not what, it just wasn't enough for me, and I was hoping the campaign was a bit better, but nobody needs to talk about that campaign. It's just horrific. They should have pulled a Black Ops 4 almost, in my opinion. Just put more effort into the zombies mode and I would have been way more satisfied. But beyond that point, if you'd like to see some of this content live, or you'd like to see more content like this live, hit that link in the description. Follow me over to Twitch. It's 7:30 in the morning. I'm pretty much rambling at this point. I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully it helps you out, and I'll see you in the next one, and have a good one.